Johnny's prayer for unity. Johnny was just 8 years old, but his heart carried a burden far too heavy for his age. His world, once filled with bedtime stories and shared family dinners, was now fractured, a delicate puzzle with pieces scattered by the tension between his parents. His laughter was often drowned out by muffled arguments behind closed doors, and the home that once felt safe now felt like a battlefield. But Johnny had something that many adults lost along the way: a relentless hope. He didn't understand the complexities of love or the reasons why his parents had grown apart. But he did understand one thing: he loved them both. And he believed, with all the innocence and determination of an 8-year-old, that things could change. It was on a cold December night, with the frost etching patterns on his bedroom window, that Johnny made a decision. Kneeling beside his small bed, he clasped his hands tightly, his knuckles turning white. He whispered a prayer into the darkness of his room, his voice trembling but resolute. "God, if you can hear me, please bring my family back together. I just want us to be happy again." This wasn't the first time Johnny had prayed for his parents, but this time he gave it a deadline. In his mind, January 1st, 2025 wasn't just a date. It was a promise. The first day of the new year, clean slate, a fresh start. Johnny imagined his parents laughing together, their hands intertwined as they welcomed the new year as a family. He imagined their smiles, free of the weight they carried now. And that image fueled his faith. The days that followed weren't easy. His parents continued to argue, their words slicing through the walls like sharp blades. His father moved into the guest room, and his mother started mentioning lawyers in hushed tones. Johnny felt like his world was slipping away, but he held on to his prayer like a lifeline. Every night, he would kneel by his bed and repeat his plea: "Please, God, make us a family again." Christmas came and went, its usual magic overshadowed by the tension in the house. But something began to shift as the days crept closer to the new year. Johnny's parents, perhaps out of guilt, or perhaps something deeper, started spending more time in the same room. There were still silences, long, heavy silences, but there were also moments. Moments when his dad would help his mom clear the table, or when his mom would laugh softly at one of his dad's jokes, almost as if she'd forgotten they were fighting. Johnny noticed these moments, and each one felt like a tiny answered prayer. He didn't say anything. He didn't want to jinx it, but his hope grew stronger. Then came New Year's Eve. The air in the house was tense, like the calm before a storm. Johnny's parents had decided, for his sake, to celebrate together. There was a small dinner, a cake that Johnny had helped bake, and a countdown to midnight planned. But Johnny could see the cracks beneath the surface. His mom kept checking her phone, and his dad seemed lost in thought. Johnny wondered if his prayer had been too much to ask for. As the clock ticked closer to midnight, Johnny felt a knot in his stomach. What if nothing changed? What if his parents went through with the divorce? The thought made his chest ache. But then, as the final seconds of the year began to fade, something extraordinary happened. His dad looked at his mom, really looked at her, for the first time in what felt like forever. "I don't want to start the new year like this," he said, his voice quiet but firm. "Neither do I," his mom replied, her eyes glistening. They didn't say much more, but in that moment, something unspoken passed between them. An understanding, a promise to try. As the clock struck midnight, Johnny's parents turned to him and smiled. Not the forced, tired smiles he'd seen over the past months, but real ones. And for the first time in a long time, Johnny felt a flicker of peace. He ran to them, throwing his arms around their waists, and they hugged him back, holding on like they never wanted to let go. Johnny didn't know what the future would hold. He didn't know if his parents would stay together forever, or if they would face more challenges down the road. But in that moment, as they welcomed the new year as a family, he knew one thing: his prayer had been heard. And that was enough. end scene with a lingering pause for the audience to reflect on Johnny's hope, resilience, and the power of small moments to create big changes.